What's going on, guys? In today's video I'm going to bring you an updated build guide for my Stamina Nightblade Ganker for the Waking Flame DLC. This build is a lot stronger than it was last patch, so we've made a couple of minor changes, as well as we've got some new gear passives that just make this build a lot stronger than it used to be. If you're interested in a written guide, there'll be one linked in the description of the video, and let's get right on into it. Let's take a look at the character sheet. We are Khajiit Nightblade. Other races will work, but Khajiit is by far the best because we get, in our racial passives, we get 12% additional crit damage, and this whole build revolves around crit damage, so Khajiit is by far the best choice for race, but you could also go with Wood Elf for a little bit extra sustain and movement speed. We've got 64 points into stamina. Our max magicka is 19k, so plenty of magic there for cloaks. Our max health is almost 25k, so this is actually decently tanky when you're on your back bar. Our max stam is at 31.4, so we've got a lot of pretty decent stam pool. Recoveries are bad, but it's a ganker, so you don't really need a lot of recovery. Buffed up, our weapon damage is sitting right at 46.55, and then if you have continuous attack, you'll be a little bit over 5k weapon damage, but not having a bunch of weapon damage is okay on this build because we're not stacking weapon damage, we're stacking crit damage. So, on this we're using the Shadow. This will increase our crit damage by an additional 16%. You should be a Vampire Stage 2. I'm only Vampire Stage 1 right now, but a Vampire Stage 2 will give you the Strike from the Shadows passive, which will give you an additional 300 weapon damage when you come out of stealth. The food we're using is Bewitched Sugar Skulls, and that's just basically max stam, max health, max magic, and then a little bit of health recovery. Into the gear. For the gear, we're using a 5-piece of Mechanical Acuity. All the traits on all the gear is going to be Divines with max stam. We're using a 1-piece Balorg. And then we're using a 5-piece Spriggans. We've got 2 Spriggans Jewelry here. We've got Spriggans Shoulders. And then we're running a Maul of Mechanical Acuity. And you want to make sure it's a sharpened maul with a shock damage enchant. This is going to be the most damage that you're possibly going to get, the most burst damage. The reason that we're running the shock damage enchant is because it procs minor vulnerability, which will give us an additional 5% damage. On the back bar, we've got a bow of mechanical acuity sharpened with poison damage enchant. And then for our mythic, we're running Ring of the Wild Hunt. Last patch, we were running Torque of Tonal Constancy, but it was just too much sustain for a ganker, so now we're going with speed. It's a lot easier to track down your targets. This ring is swift. You can have it infused if you want a little bit extra damage, but you could go infused here with weapon damage, but I have swift with stamina recovery. That's just the way the ring came, and it feels good to me. I've got plenty of damage anyway, and a little bit of extra recovery is always nice. So we've got Spriggans rings, Spriggans shoulder, and then we've got a Spriggans belt and Spriggans gloves. Mechanical acuity on the boots, mechanical acuity on the pants, mechanical acuity on the chest, and then the weapons, mechanical acuity. The reason this build is so much stronger than it was last patch is because we've got 7 medium on, and then the new gear passives. If you take a look at the new medium armor passives, let's see here. The new dexterity passive increases your critical damage by 2% for each piece of medium armor equipped. So we were hitting really hard last patch. Now this patch we're hitting 14% harder because last patch this dexterity passive gave us crit chance. This patch it's giving us crit damage, so we're just stacking that crit damage on top of all the other crit damage that we've got. For the skills, on the front bar we're running Surprise Attack. This is your main spammable. You're going to want to make sure when you use surprise attack, you do a light attack, surprise attack, pretty much at the same time. The light attack slightly before the surprise attack, so that way both the damage from the light attack and the surprise attack hit at the exact same time. You're going to want to do that with the Executioner as well. Executioner is our main execute. It's pretty self-explanatory. It deals 400% more damage to enemies with less than 50% health. So I've actually seen this Executioner hit people for 35k damage. Rally, this gives us Major Brutality, which increases our weapon damage by 20%. This is also a nice burst heal. We've got Camouflage Hunter. This is here for the Minor Berserk when we hit an enemy from flank, which will increase our damage by 5%, and you're always going to be hitting people from behind. Relentless Focus. This is kind of a flex spot, but basically each stack of this will increase your crit damage. So if you have a couple of stacks up, you're just going to do that much more damage. Also, I finish people off all the time with the Spectral Bow, so it's just kind of nice to have there. Our main ultimate is Incap. On the back bar, we've got Shadowy Disguise. We've got Shadow Image. This is our Shade. If you're not one that uses Shade very often, then I would probably put Magnum Shot here instead. So you can knock people off, and the build will just be that much more trolly. Resolving Vigor, Lethal Arrow, and then Channel Acceleration. This will increase our crit damage by 10%. And then on the back bar, you have two options. You can go with Soul Tether. I prefer Soul Tether. Actually, you have three options. I go with Soul Tether. It's a nice burst heal. So when you're getting, Zerg down, you can hit that Soul Tether. It'll give you a burst heal. It'll stun everybody. Then that'll give you time to cloak and get out of there. You can also use the Bow Ultimate, which I don't have unlocked, but the Bow Ultimate's really strong. And then for your third choice, you can use the Psijic Undo, which will also give you minor protection for having it slotted, so make you a little bit more tanky on the back bar. This setup is built around getting the most damage out of Incap. So the basic combo that you're going to want to use is going to want to proc the two-handed follow-up passive. So you're going to cloak, buff up. When you're coming in, you're gonna charge up a heavy attack. When that heavy attack is all the way back, that's when you're gonna hit your Incap. So sneaking in, heavy attack, Incap, light attack, surprise attack, and then if they're low enough health, light attack, execute. For champion points, Nightblade is probably one of the only classes that the green champion points actually matter. Sustaining Shadows, you want to make sure you grab this. This reduces the cost of sneak by 1% per stage, so we get 50% cost reduction to sneak. Seed's Blessing, this is just movement speed when we're out of combat. Gifted Rider, this increases our mount speed by 2%, and then War Mount. So the main one here is Sustaining Shadows. There's also a passive here, Out of Sight. You're going to want to make sure you grab this passive. Reduces the radius you can be detected while sneaking by 1 meter per stage. So this is important, as well as the Sustaining Shadows from the green tree. Blue tree, we're using Deadly Aim, Backstabber, Fighting Finesse, Master at Arms. Red tree, we're using Fortified. This gives a little bit of extra armor. Boundless Vitality, a little bit extra health. Hardened, this reduces the duration of CC by 3% per stage. And then Slippery, this is a free break free, so that's really strong. I think that about covers it for the build. If you're interested in a Brawler Nightblade, make sure you hit the subscribe button, because I'll be posting my Brawler Nightblade build in the next couple of weeks, and it'll probably come out 1 week from the release of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the build. Let me know down in the comment section how it works out for you, and if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.